Hi everyone, I'm in a very noisy but late and dark Philippines right now. I'm in a place called El Nido. You can have a little look at where I am now, do some surfing. But this is more about you guys, so I want to just tell you a very quick one. This was requested actually, how I would revise each different topic specifically. So what revision methods and techniques would I use for each different topic? Now obviously they all work for each, whatever works for you. These videos, podcasts, or mind maps, or exam questions, or whatever. Now before I go on, I will just say I think the best way overall is practice papers. You Google AQA Geography GCSE past papers, go onto the first website that's there, and there's like every year for the last 6-7 years, so that's really useful. You can see how the exams look, what kind of questions could come up, and what questions have come up beforehand, and that will be useful to you. But if I'm going to narrow it down for each specific topic, I'll do it now in a couple of minutes, okay? So hazards. The first one is hazards, natural hazards, climate change. Now for this, there's a lot of content. It's a very heavy topic. This is where you have lots of inner core, outer core, mantle, crust. This is where you have convection current processes. This is where you have focus, epicenter, seismic waves. This is where you have destructive, constructive, conservative plate boundaries. This is where you have lists of pros and cons of mitigation, adaptation. This is where you have the global circulation model, global atmospheric circulation model. So for hazards, with all that said and done, I think it's a mind map. An A3 piece of paper which you can cram everything into. In one corner have the global atmospheric circulation model. In one corner have the 3 plate boundaries. Now what I would do is create like a kind of a flow system where you start with like tectonic hazards and you go into weather hazards, Somerset and stuff, and then you end up in climate change, natural and human. All these diagrams, you know, if you're not good at drawing, it doesn't really matter. I'm rubbish. I did it for you guys on the whiteboard for ages. But I think it's just the best way of collating all that information, different diagrams, different case studies even, really useful to you. So mind maps for hazards is my top tip. For living world, mind map does work as well. If I'm going to try and push the boat out a little bit, I think living world, a really useful one for that is past papers. I'm going to use it here. I think there's so many different past paper questions on rainforests, on desert, on hot ecosystems. There's so many good 6 markers you can see. So for living world, you know, you're looking at different environments. I would 1,000,000% say that one is the one where you should be using past papers. I think it's very useful. Hazards you can revise many different ways. Living world is less easy to do so. Rivers and coasts, flashcards. Absolutely flashcards. So for example, you can have a flashcard on attrition, abrasion, have a flashcard on hydraulic action, slip-off slope, river cliff, waterfalls, gorges, oxbow lakes, interlocking spurs. All of them can have their own flashcard. On the other side, little diagram and how they're formed. Done. Because a lot of rivers and coasts is high engineering, flood engineering strategies. So dam, reservoirs, whatever it may be. I think flashcards are a brilliant revision tool for a topic or 2 topics, rivers and coasts, UK's landscape, that has so many different components and definitions to remember. So there's so many different types of erosion. You could even have on one side what are the features of coastal erosion, and on the other side the answers: crack, cave, arch, stack, stump, maybe a little diagram, something like that. Don't forget things like wave cut platforms. Don't forget things like spits, estuaries, bars, things like that, headlands and bays. All these things can have their own flashcards, right? It's a series of flashcards, and the more you do, the better you'll do at them, really. And then maybe one on boundary for your case study as well. Can't hurt. So then you move into the human geography stuff. So topic 1 is urban issues and challenges. This is very tricky to narrow down because there's so many different ways you could do this one. But if there's any way you could do something different, I mean, by all means, just for the record, definitely use for urban issues and challenges, definitely use past papers, definitely use practicing past paper questions, and definitely use my mind map as well. But if I'm looking for something different, if I'm looking to learn about Rio, I'm looking to learn about London, all those case study stuff, personally, this is where I would use kind of memory recall and notes. So you write notes about your case study of London, you write notes all about your case study of Rio, and you have them on 2 separate pages, like a mind map, but different, and then you do memory recall. So you block it, and then read it again, block it, and read it again. I would create a fact file on Rio. I'd create a fact file on London as well. Obviously, Brazil is your LIC, and UK is your HIC. But I think if you have a lot of information on like maybe one double-sided A4 page, and you can kind of cover it and revise it like memory test, I think that's the best way. Certainly for a load of key terms that are in that topic too. In terms of the next one, changing economic world, I'm going to have to reuse some of these old ones, guys. I think flashcards are very good for that as well. Okay, so changing economic world, Outer Hebrides, Cambridgeshire, and for example, just flashcards of key terminology, flashcards of key terms, definitions that you're going to need to know. So on one side is the word, on the other side the definition, and over time you'll test yourself, and then you'll know it before you need to look at the definition. And resource management, for this one, again, there's so many different ways. I'm going to go back to past papers though. I think if you look at a resource management section in the exam, you'll panic a lot less, because it is quite a small section. Alright, it's not as big as hazards, for example. So if you can see what kind of questions you're expected to get, and you can just answer the 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022 papers for resource management, that will help you. Okay, so I definitely do that for that. And for paper 3, definitely look through your notes at your kind of your fieldwork stuff. So I would maybe you make a mind map of fieldwork if you really want to, but more than any of the others, this is where you use your booklet, obviously. But at the moment, for paper 3, this is where you use past papers. So you look at past paper 3s, and you have a look and see what's going to come up. You see what kind of questions to expect. Because I think, in my opinion, what paper you're less prepared for is paper 3. It's the smallest, it's probably the easiest, but you always overlook it because you've got the paper 1 and paper 2, right, that are like kind of full of stuff. So paper 3 is unquestionably the one where you're going to have to use past papers. If you haven't done that yet, if you haven't looked at past papers for paper 3, do it now before it's too late. Okay? Any questions, I'm always here for you. We'll have another session in April for live sessions for paper 2. Until then, I'll catch you later. In a bit, guys.